what always is an essential element in the creative is the mysterious. The dark, it's like the black in lacquer. The impenetrable, and yet the profound depth out of which glorious things come, but nobody can see why. There's a poem which says that when the bird calls, the mountain becomes more mysterious. You imagine, for example, you're in a mountain valley, and everything is very silent, and suddenly a crow squawks somewhere. You don't know where that crow is, and that little sound emphasizes the silence.
You know, if we want to define creativity as the act of turning imaginative ideas into reality, characterized by the ability to perceive the world in new ways, to make connections between seemingly unrelated phenomena, you know, if we want to view it through that lens, then this record is, you know, certainly a reflection of that.
I think the record that we made is very indicative of where we're at as people, as musicians, as friends, as family. It's the next step in the evolution of the band.
Wild Blood, one word for this song.
Wild Blood? That's tight.
That's pretty cool.
One word.
That I like.
Wild
Where's
Blood.
that come from? What are you just out there?
We shouldn't be changing any of the core parts you guys are playing.
Working with Will Yip was one of the best recording experiences and life experiences I've ever had. He's filled with energy, creativity, and positivity. 25 hours a day.
How does every day get better?
We're working with a genius. We're working with a living genius. So.
Oh my, you nasty motherfucker. Have you ever heard a song like this?
Dude, no, dude. This thing gets rock, like, Bob Dylan's team used it. You know what I mean? Because the rock tone is chill, you know?
He's always got incredible ideas. He always knows how to get the best take out of you.
No one plays music that way, dude.
And he always buys you Long Island iced teas when you do a good job. And that, in and of itself, is worth the price of admission.
They basically said they have never not went into the studio and had every millisecond already planned out. Like they were just going in and they needed someone to just capture the record. But I knew that in terms of just coming in and just capturing a record, that's not what I do. And if a band wants that, that's cool, but that's just not how I work, you know? I need to be kind of usually the fourth or fifth or sixth, this time the seventh member of a process, you know what I mean, of a creative process. And I feel like they were welcoming of that.
Harmonics make it?
No.
If it's actually
We'll play keep going and just
the song, which is, let's keep going. You know what I mean? That's whack to me. You know, like producers, even hip hop producers, like they're not using the same fucking art pad on every fucking song. That's going through and going, oh, I programmed the drums for every song. Now I'm going back program. No, you stay in a song. You know what I mean? You just stay in a song and fucking build it up and tell a story. You know,
so Caspian started as a 4-piece, and with that, it was 2 guitars, bass, and drums.
Can you play a little bit?
As we kind of progressed and added more members to the band, it got to the point where there are 4 guys that play guitar. I kind of specifically worked in the last couple years to move away from playing guitar, as it was a little redundant with 4 guys that could do it. So one of the things I was really focused on was trying to expand my output as far as what I was capable of doing. And for me, that was really focused on playing the Rhodes a lot more, as that was something that I've had for a couple years. It's made on a couple records here and there. The pedal steel here and there has been something that we've used on every record, actually. And then also, I picked up the mandolin in the last couple years, so that was something that really focused on and we're able to incorporate. I had a couple of visions for how it could be used in certain situations. You know, I rebuilt my pedal board, I bought a drum machine, I bought a synthesizer, I bought a mixer. You know, I started working out how to reproduce myself and reinvent what I do in the band a little bit as far as an auxiliary player goes, knowing that I'm not going to be necessarily there for every show. As far as the music that we got to make on this record and the music that I put on this record, the things that I added, there was a lot that was challenging, you know, finding the space with 6 guys, finding the right melodic compositions and additions to add in those places. But it was a great challenge. It was a fun experience playing with this group of guys, and the writing process being different than any process that we've had before. I think for me, the fun part was not being the foundational player in every situation. For instance, not playing guitar, playing a lot more other things, doing a lot more painting, kind of creating sounds and soundscapes for the rest of the guys to build upon. Once everything was built, I got to come in and just add my parts as everything else is more developed. Not that we weren't writing it all together at the same time, but having that space, knowing like, okay, I'm adding Rhodes to this, or I'm adding a vocal sample to this. Also, places where maybe not adding stuff and just being quiet. You don't need to play all the time. And that's a key element to learning and to getting older, I think, too.
Caspian evolved organically. Over the past 13 years, we've shared amazing times, we've shared terrible times. At the end of the day, that's what creates a band. That's what creates a family. You go through a lot with family, for better or for worse. It's what creates a bond between us that allows us to keep doing what we're doing. I think there's an element to it where we all see Caspian as a higher calling and something that we need to continuously work toward and strive toward and make the best that we possibly can. I personally feel like I'll be playing in this band for the rest of my life and can't see myself getting sick of it at any point. Sure, there's hard times. There's hard times with everything. But at the end of the day, we're creating something that's meaningful, not only to ourselves, but to many, many people the world over. Going into the studio is always a nerve-wracking experience for me. But knowing that I'm as prepared as possible definitely makes it a lot easier. I feel like every record that we work on is a product of our entire life. If anything, it would be since the last record came out and our shared experiences, shared pains, shared joys. And that's what I put into a record. And that's why people listen to records.
In so many artistic skills, you will find a teacher who teaches you how to do it without forcing it.
I think this record is the best Caspian record yet. Not only did we mature as people, but we matured as musicians, as friends, as family members. I think we were all able to take the past couple years and really channel the feelings we had. We were able to step more out of our comfort zone to create new sounds, new textures, new ideas. Creatively speaking, we're always trying to do new things and try new things to propel ourselves forward. That's part of the reason why we're still excited to play and be in this band. There's always the opportunity to push music's boundaries. I think with this record, we really try to become a genre-less band. I don't want people to define our music by some silly term. I want them to say it sounds like Caspian. I feel nostalgic for being at Studio 4, hanging with Will, making a record. But at the end of the day, I have an album that is basically a time capsule from that period of time. Listening to all of these songs will automatically remind me of Studio 4 and the time we spent working on it. A good friend of mine called it human music. And I think that sums it up more than any genre name could.
It may go without saying, but all I want to do is play these new songs over and over again. It really does bring me back to the studio. It puts me right in that basement, getting my socks knocked right off.
Holy fuck!
The tag on the end of that's fucked. Awesome.
Ballsy as fuck.
Yeah, you can hear everything.
You hear everything.
Yeah.
I'll tighten up all the parts for it. It has to be a little tighter. That was fucking
crazy man.
I normally feel pretty nervous going into recording when something's this important. You just want to do your absolute best and give everything you've got, and that tends to lead me into a nervous kind of place. But this time, those reservations evaporated almost instantly. Will really put us at ease with his personality and allowed us to focus on getting into the right headspace to create how we wanted to create instead of being bound to some idea of what a song should be. There's a little more experimentation in the studio this time around. Usually what I come up with is what comes out on the record. But across the board, we were all trying different parts and structures because Will was pushing at every point to make things more perfect. This is certainly an album of short stories as opposed to long lyric, kind of epic things that we have been used to in the past. The whole idea this time around was to change up the process at every possible point in order to gain some fresh perspective. We moved from a psychedelic jam to an acoustic song with vocals to a straight rock banger, and somehow all of it felt smooth. I couldn't be happier with what we walked out of the studio with. We made a record we were all super proud of, and we made a new friend in Will Yip in the process. I think it's more important as you get older to make creativity intentional, because there are way more distractions as life goes on. Not to say it doesn't come naturally sometimes as well, but when we're younger, there's not a lot else going on and less worries on the table, so it's easier for it to manifest itself without intentionally thinking about it. It's hard to say exactly how my life is translated to the music on the record. Maybe in general, as time goes on, I get more comfortable with who I am and more confident that I'm living the life I want to be living. And I think confidence shows up in music quite a bit, so maybe it's just being more able to suggest ideas or paths forward in a song that just comes from playing music with these guys longer and longer.
Everything that we know about living organisms from the standpoint of the sciences shows us that we grow out of this world, that we, each one of us, are what you might call symptoms of the state of the universe as a whole. But you see, that is not part of our common sense. Western man has for many centuries been under the influence of two great myths. When I use the word myth, I don't necessarily mean falsehood. To me, the word myth signifies a great idea in terms of which man tries to make sense of the world.
Change is good, and with music and art and doing something like making a record, there simply are no rules. You just have to trust your instincts and do what your intuition is telling you. This is my first time working creatively with this band as an actual member. I've been friends with these guys and honestly one of their biggest fans for over a decade. So to get the chance to be able to work from the ground up on new music with them was very exciting for me. I've actually never been a part of or seen the way that these guys write music. So once we started working together on the record, the workflow kind of just went exceptionally smooth and fast, and it felt incredible. And like very natural for me, and I'm pretty sure for them as well. This particular batch of songs, I think, is a bit of fresh air for their catalog, and I think honestly for all of us as musicians too. And I know personally, I feel incredibly proud of this record, no matter how old fans or new fans perceive it. My kit setup I have for Caspian has been insanely minimal compared to any setup I've ever had with any band I've ever played in. So right there I felt challenged to see what new ways I could create rhythms, but with a lot less things to hit. But with that said, as soon as we started writing this record, I learned fast that each member of this band pushes themselves and each other to try new things and to explore new sounds and ideas. And for the most part, for every little detail we all do, everyone pushes themselves to find exactly what they're hearing in their head until they're 100% satisfied.
Play the melody over that part. That shouldn't happen.
No, I understand. That's why. Okay.
It should only drop in when you dropped in after that at that part.
Okay. Right after the break. I forgot about that riff that we're doing. Okay.
There again, it's all pixels.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, that's what. Okay. So I thought we were starting somewhere else.
It's gonna be fire.
Let's try that again.
Okay. Should I try and find something else before that, or just hang out?
Maybe just hang out. Yeah, for now.
We're truly brothers. We're family. We've done everything a human being can do through and over again. We bicker like brothers, we argue, we don't really see eye to eye on a ton of things, and none of us are perfect, but at the end of the day, all of us would do anything for each other. I know that sounds about as cliche as it can get, but that's the reality of it. We're all much older now, and individually, each member of the band has a family and a life on their own, but we have always and we will always make time for each other. Sometimes this can feel like a job, but with this tight circle of friends and individuals and musicians, it never really feels like that. Them asking me to join the band honestly came out of nowhere. And I knew immediately that the pressure for new music and a new record was imminent. I was pretty nervous diving into this, so trying to fill a pretty massive role here was weighing on me pretty hard. I definitely put a lot of my personal life on hold and sort of strangled a lot of relationships to make sure my capacity for this project was at a maximum volume. This was not the healthiest thing, but I think being able to step out of your normalcy of life, activities, and make yourself a bit uncomfortable really helps to aid in the creative process, which is something I hope shows through what I've helped create here. It's not easy to do something like this when a band has been playing with the same drummer for 15 years, but I feel like I had to do what I did to make the transition as smooth and easy as possible.
I believe that if we are honest with ourselves, that the most fascinating problem in the world is who am I? What do you mean? What do you feel when you say the word I myself?
You know, the last 18 months, just for me in a lot of regards, have kind of felt like roaming through some kind of network of different underworlds. I've been fairly anchorless. I'm not necessarily where I thought I'd be in some regards at 40. And I definitely went through a period where I wanted to blame some of my shortcomings on this decision that I've made, you know, to chase beauty with music for pretty much my entire adult life. There were moments where I felt betrayed by that decision sometimes, and I found myself revolting against that feeling in a lot of different ways. I definitely have felt a period of that destabilization, and that's a precarious position to be in sometimes. In order to rein that in, like, I have to create things. I don't use this as an antidote anymore, the way I used to use music, and I think that's all right. You know, getting together with the guys and working on these songs didn't entirely fix everything like so many albums kind of seemed like they can for some other artists, and I actually found myself embracing that acknowledgement and using it to try and fend off some of the sense of self-importance that ultimately maybe was the root cause for some of the problems, you know? Getting together and working on this was just an opportunity to be amongst friends and family, share some smiles, a few arguments, a few high fives, and basically just be present with each other under the banner of respect, loyalty, and honor to all. In the end, I don't think art exists for that purely remedial purpose anymore. I think it's here to just act as a mirror for what's actually occurring inside, the beautiful and the ugly. And I'm here to pay my respects to that with my friends.
When's Cal coming back again? On
Tuesday morning. And I'll be there to write about. I missed that dude.
Yeah.
So like he missed the last half of pre-pro, but we just sent him bounces.
For me, the decision to not tour and to, remove myself from that aspect of the band, it was not an easy decision originally. A lot of it was financially based. I, was fresh out of college. I had bought a house, got married right around that time, not too much later. And it was a hard part of a relationship to be on the road that long. And financially, I needed to work and make money in order to, pay for the house that I purchased. And tour wasn't really doing that at that juncture. And then further down the road, I had 2 wonderful kids, and it's kind of hard to not be around and not be involved. I want to be the dad that's around, that's there, gets to play with kids, be there in the afternoon. My job is flexible enough that I'm usually out of work by the time they're out of school, so we'd spend the afternoons together. And it's just awesome. I don't want to miss the things that happen in my kids' lives. I want to be around and I want to be involved. And it's my priority to be a good parent and a good spouse. And as my kids are getting older, I'm trying to get out more and do more things with the band, tour a little bit more here and there. But it's not easy. The band gets to have these amazing tours and awesome opportunities to see the whole world. And it's tough sometimes to send them off and say, hey, go kick some ass in China or go kick some ass in England. And it takes time to figure out. I'm always grateful that, as a band, we've been able to work it out and that they've kept me involved, honestly, because it means a lot to me to have that freedom of creative expression.
Thoughts in their own domain are as real as rocks. Words have their own reality as much as sky and water.
I went on a really long walk, and I found a space where it was easier to tap into creativity. I detached from all the noise. My life had been full of noise before that hike, and now that I'm home, that noise has returned. It's outside our homes, it's in our homes, it's at work, on the street. But for periods of time, when I would leave a town and return to the woods, I found silence. I found the rest. I hiked 2,200 miles with my wife. We would talk, we sang a lot, but we also moved in silence and quite often. In those moments, I dove deep into my soul, and I yelled, I listened, sometimes I was angry, but often I was just still. Most of us, we don't really know ourselves. We don't really know who we are. We may not know who we want to be, but we don't have the time to really spend on the deep things. We woke up every day and had a plan to hike 20 miles. Sometimes we'd make it, sometimes we'd make it 5. Often we'd make it almost 20, sometimes further. But every day I drove myself because if I didn't, I wouldn't make it. I remember hitting the 500-mile mark and thinking, we've made it a quarter of the trail. And then I realized it had taken 2 months to get that far, and I knew how far we had to go. That stayed with me. I didn't come back from the trail a saved person. I came back a harder, more disciplined worker. That's what I carried into this album, work. I also found a connection with creativity I don't think I had before. Creativity is this endless potential. To some, it's a mystery. To me, it's a place I go now. A place beyond here, a place I found out there.
Dust and Disquiet was a record built in grief. This album was not that. We had time to sort through the mess we all were after losing our brother. At first I thought this might be a record of healing, but I don't think it became that either. I think it came simply from a place where we just wanted to write and create good music. Music that made us feel things. Music that we could move on with. The future for me holds the birth of my firstborn. I feel a lot of hope. I also have a drive to make my life more of what I want it to be. Every day since I've returned home from hiking, I've spent my time plotting a course forward. I'd say the future holds much less wasted time. We wanted to find someone who would not only capture our sounds, but also push forward our ideas. We wanted to collaborate with someone, finally. When we got Will on the phone, that's one of the first things he said. He said he likes to become an extra member of the band, that he wants to work with each band to make a record he'd want to listen to. He also said he wanted to make a Caspian record where the guitars were the singers. He wanted the melodies to bounce off the listener like a vocalist would. I was sold at that moment, and I think we all knew he was our guy.
It's not a kind of music. I was talking about this. I've only used this word a few times with certain music, with certain artists, with certain records, it's fucking human music. It makes you feel things. You know what I mean? It's not just music that you listen to fucking mosh or to dance to. No, it's music that makes you feel a certain way. And this record has moments where you feel different things the entire record. There's times I want to mosh, you know what I mean? Listen to it. There's times I want to just headbang. And there's times I literally just want to call my girlfriend and say, this shit's beautiful. I got shows to. This is crazy, you know. And there's times that I want to take a sample and go like, I joked around. I was like, I'm gonna make a beat out of this. I'm gonna make a beat and get Beanie Siegel and rap on it. You know what I mean? It's human being music. It's, you know, I've listened to a lot of stuff. You know, going in, I do a lot of homework going into records, and I listen to a lot of their peers, and it's a lot of great stuff, but a lot of it's one-dimensional or two-dimensional. I want this sonically to be three-dimensional. I want the feeling of this to be five-dimensional. I want this to feel fucking interstellar, like some fucking Chris Nolan shit. You know what I mean? I want this record to fucking draw you in and paint something that anyone that listens to it, there's an undeniable feeling. Even if you don't like the moment, you are feeling something. Feeling something in a positive way that's challenging you. It's challenging your ears, challenging your soul. And that's my goal. That was my goal with this record, because I knew there weren't the rules that there are vocals, because there aren't. So we kind of can play with telling a story however we wanted to. So let's maximize that and challenge people. So that's how I wanted to paint this picture with them, and we accomplished it. They accomplished it. You know, they're such talented guys. They're undeniably, you know, 6 of the most talented people I know. And I just wanted to kind of help paint their picture of telling a story with their art and be able to pull people in with the immediacy of how engaging the music is, but yet still bring more people in, but still be more challenging than ever. And I think that's such a conundrum. That's such a hard thing to do, a hard balance to maintain. But I think that's where our value was working together, where, you know, I spend most of my life working with pop artists and rock artists and contemporary R&B artists, where, you know, I worked with stuff that our goal was to, a lot of these art schools agree with ears immediately. So, you know, it was cool to kind of bring that to the table, but yet challenge people still. And I think that's an important thing here. This is gonna force people to grow. That's already into this genre of music, this kind of music, and that's not. But yet, the songs are undeniably catchy, undeniably hooky on the surface level, where it'll bring anyone in that's already a fan of this music and people that aren't. So that's my sell. It's just agreeable in the most challenging way, and that's what being a fucking human being is about. You know what I mean? You want to be challenged. You should be forced to be challenged every day and grow, but yet still do shit that is enjoyable, you know what I mean? And that's what this fucking record's about, is the fucking, that's what the circle of life is, you know what I mean? And that's what the fucking record is, fucking circles and circles, you know what I mean? We're gonna go around, but you're gonna be challenging, you're gonna be facing the same thing. You're gonna face adversities, you're gonna face great times, there's challenging times, and there's fucking very agreeable and catchy times. So it just kind of goes in waves, and you get that on this record.
You know, if we want to define creativity as the act of turning imaginative ideas into reality, characterized by the ability to perceive the world in new ways, to make connections between seemingly unrelated phenomena, you know, if we want to view it through that lens, then this record is, you know, certainly a reflection of that.
Because you see, all our universities and schools are trying to teach creativity. Now, the trouble is this: if we found out a method whereby we could teach creativity, and everybody could just explain how it was done, it would no longer be of interest. What always is an essential element in the creative is the mysterious. The dark, it's like the black in lacquer. The impenetrable, and yet the profound depth out of which glorious things come, but nobody can see why.
Gotta leave you now. Didn't need all that shit.
I do have a bottle of champagne.
Oh my
Damn.
god. It do be like that.
Oh yeah. Let's do that.
Oh yeah. Yep, islands.
Wait, should we art? The embodiment of trust.
Oh.
Cheers.
Fuck.
Cheers, gentlemen. Cheers, gentlemen.
Cheers. That fucked me up a bit. That fucked me up. That fucked me up.
That's delicious. Cooks is my family champagne. It is true.